We're going to get started with our TMN Tuesday event, our first for the 2023 series. This series of TMN Tuesday programs began in 2021 as a way for us to provide advanced training for our Texas Master Naturalists virtually on a monthly basis and with changing themes and presenters and topics. But how we have started the last couple of years is our first TMN Tuesday event is our State of the Program event. Where Michelle and I, as your two statewide program coordinators, can share some insight on accomplishments from the past year, look forward to the next year, and then look forward beyond our upcoming year of events and programs. So before we jump into the content, we always like to have a starting point with our virtual meeting room etiquette to make sure that we're on the same page as we participate in today's event. We will be using the WebEx platform going forward, and we have a help guide on that. We will be using chat function as a way to communicate with you. If this is your first TMN Tuesday event, as an attendee, you cannot unmute or share your video, but that is intentional. We have nearly 200 on today alone, and sometimes we've had over 1,000. So we want to make sure that we're able to give our speakers the proper attention and platform to be able to communicate their message. And then for you to be able to ask questions, that's where that chat function comes in. We ask that all chat stays professional and respectful. Help us with spelling and grammar so that we can make sure that we're getting the question that you intend to ask answered as you want it to be when we have other speakers. And then if you're a Master Naturalist, if you're in training, or if you're a certified Master Naturalist, you can count today's live event and the recording of watching the TMN Tuesdays as an advanced training opportunity for a single AT hour. And please work with your chapter VMS to log that into the right category coding. I think I already covered that last one. Attendees are not able to unmute, but that is intentional. So let's use that chat box to communicate today. And seeing so many familiar names come in as introductions is a great way to get started today. So as I mentioned, when we kicked off the TMN Tuesday series in 2021, it became a habit and a function to begin each calendar year with our State of the Program, and we're going to do that again this year with our State of the Program for January 2023. We have a program, our agenda here, and we're going to run through quite a bit today, so we're going to try to keep it right at that hour as we cover 2022 year in review. We look for program planning for 2023, resources that we want to share with you, make sure that they are on your bookmarks page, that you've got quick access to that, or you know where to find those things on our website. And then we're going to look beyond 2023 as we go forward into the next 25 years. And that'll make sense here in just a second. So leading off with our State of the Program, I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to introduce Michelle, and then Michelle's going to take it from there. So I am Mary Pearl Moit. I am your Assistant State Coordinator for the Master Naturalist Program. I work for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, one of our two statewide sponsoring agencies. I office out of College Station, Texas, and I provide some of the operational programming here at your service to be able to make you the most impactful and effective volunteer possible. Our state program coordinator, Michelle Haggerty, has been with our program for 24 years now. Is that right? You'll have your 24th anniversary here shortly.
Moving into it, yep.
And do you want to introduce yourself and then introduce the program a little bit more?
Sure. Michelle Haggerty, Program Coordinator for the Texas Master Naturalist Program. My other roles, I work for Texas Parks and Wildlife. My other roles within Texas Parks and Wildlife is a program leader for our Wildlife Division's Community Stewardship and Engagement programs. My office is in Kerrville, Texas. I was once in College Station, but now I operate out of Kerrville. Been with the program, like was mentioned, going into my 24th year now.
Yeah. You want to give an introduction to our TMN State Office?
So you've met myself and Mary Pearl as our program coordinators for the Texas Master Naturalist Program. We also have a wonderful program aide Annabelle Moore, who has been working with our program for almost the past year now, soon to be about a year. Some of you know Annabelle as a member of the Big Country chapter, and the new president there also. Annabelle came to us as she's completing up her master's degree in science communication. And she is going to be stepping away from from working for us here shortly, because she's accepted a temporary position that sounds amazing, and we wish her the best. But in the meantime, we are hiring. We are in the process of hiring, and we are hiring to replace Annabelle and the work that she's doing, because she's leaving, and when she does, that is a void for us. So we're in the process of holding some interviews for some applicants, but if you know of a student who may be a great fit for our program and our program office, we certainly want to hear from you. So students can work up to what, about 10 to 20 hours a week
Yeah, 20 hours.
program. So so just a shout out to Annabelle, and an early thank you for all the work that you've done with the program so far. So leading us up into to really some of the topic, one of the major topics of today's webinar in TMN Tuesday is the state of the Master Naturalist program. And we can't tell you about what the next few years look like without reviewing the year 2022 in review. So next slide. So last year, every year at this time, and really in the fall and the beginning of the year, we set out big goals for our program and ourselves as the leaders of this program. And last year, for 2022, this slide represents everything that all the big goals that we had in mind for the upcoming year. So in 2022, we wanted to increase our virtual lines of communication. We continued by holding our Master Naturalist our chapter presidents monthly meetings. We increased the emphasis on our chapter websites and further development of those. We increased the emphasis on our own website and having the Master Naturalist website be the go-to for any questions to be answered by Master Naturalists or potential volunteers. In 2022, we also wanted to increase our virtual and hybrid-based instruction engagement opportunities. And we did that through our virtual volunteer fairs, our TMN Tuesday events like these, which we're now moving into the third year for, and then our 2022 annual meeting. So over the past 3 years, our annual meetings have ranged the course of in-person to completely hybrid to completely virtual to completely hybrid. And then last year we returned to a form of in-person and some virtual again. We continue to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion over the last year, over the past couple years really. And we had one of our big efforts for diversity, equity, and inclusion was offering our Be the Change workshop in the spring. Prior to that, in 2021, we had a series of webinars, Be the Change webinar series, which took place all in 2021. And then 2022, we culminated with a Be the Change workshop series. And all of these things that we're discussing here today, we're going to go into a little bit more detail as resources for you later on in the presentation. Other things we worked on in 2022, we wanted to maintain efficiency of the program through our guiding documents and updating those. The last update of those was in 2015. And so in 2021 and 2022, we had major updates of our chapter management operations protocols, our bylaws, our chapter operating handbook, and those were implemented or are in the process of being implemented right now. Or if they were not by the end of the year. And then lastly, the other things we set out to accomplish in 2022 was to reinvest in our program branding And several of these things we did accomplish in 2022, but there are continuing projects that will move forward to 2023. And those include items on our program logos and templates, merchandise in our TMN store, investing in our state and chapter websites, which I mentioned, and then a TMN urban and diversity photo collection project, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. One of the items that we continued in 2022 was our TMN Tuesdays. And so this is the advanced training events that we offer monthly from the state office once the second Tuesday of each month at noon for at least an hour. And these are all the events that we had. What you see on the screen now are all the events that we had in 2022. Over the course of 2022, we had a total of 5,420 people watch each of these events live, or all of these events live. And then another 5,200 or more watched our recorded, watched the sessions as recordings. So over 10,000 people are benefiting from these advanced training, TMN Tuesday advanced training events that our state program is offering. The one thing I want to mention is that the stats that we that aren't included in these totals are our Master Naturalists in Space, when we had a downlink with one of our Master Naturalists, Chell Lindgren, who it was on the International Space Station at the time. And we did a live downlink with him in June for the program. And those numbers, we had over 2,300 people attend and watch that session live as we live streamed it to YouTube that day. So, and that's in addition to the other 10,000 views that we've, watchers and views that we've had with the TMN Tuesdays. Some of the most watched TMN Tuesdays in 2022 was our February seed collections for conservation. Obviously, our June downlink from the ISS was the most watched. Our March and then August events with Craig Hensley were the third and fourth most watched events of our TMN Tuesday lineup last year. So if you want to put in the chat, what were your favorites from last year? And we'll give you just a few seconds to enter anything there as we transition to the next slide.
I still think my favorite was the downlink from space. I'm still geeking out about that. It's such an amazing opportunity to get to talk to Chell as he spun in zero gravity in the International Space Station. Then when he took the camera and he looked out the window, just awesome. And loving to hear some of the favorites coming in chat. So thank y'all for participating. And that also helps us to look back on those TMN Tuesday topics that resonate with you as Master Naturalists, so that we can try to work towards planning events with similar topics and themes for the future, which we'll get into. Michelle, I think I'm covering this one. Or I think I'll cover this one. So one of the other events that we held in 2022 is part of our, and I didn't update the date there, so I apologize about that. As part of our program planning goals for 2022 was to host a culmination workshop for the Be the Change webinar series that we hosted in 2021. And so our workshop was held April 7th, 2022. We had some amazing speakers. It was a participatory workshop where we had 67 live participants from Master Naturalist chapters from across the state participating in engaging conversations and breakout rooms and live chat. And it was a wonderful event to be able to kind of pull all those strings together and provide resources for our chapters as they move forward in their DEIA work. That recording is still on our YouTube page. It's right there, and if you can't grab that YouTube link quickly enough, it's okay. We will have these slides. I didn't say that at the very beginning of today's presentation. We'll have these slides and the links on our website afterwards, and I'll show you. I'll put that in on the page. I'll show you where to find that in just a little bit. And then our Be the Change workshop also had an additional 53 folks who watched the recording as well. So it's great to see that continuation of that impact with these recordings that are giving us that opportunity to further the reach of our program. Another program that we held in 2022 was our virtual volunteer fair. We held this on May 5th of 2022. We had 8 projects and over 160 folks attended live, with another couple of hundred folks watching the recording of that event, and engaging in these projects. These virtual volunteer fair projects are meant to be able to provide opportunities for our volunteers who need virtual-based or at-distance-based projects to engage with new conservation partners, organizations that we already work with, projects that need folks to participate, but in a different way than your traditional hands-on, in-person or large group settings. We are planning for another event in 2023, and I have those dates and information for that later in today's presentation. So we're so glad to have this product come out of the last couple of years and be so successful. If you've participated in our virtual volunteer fair projects over the last year, we'd love to hear that shout out in the chat, and any shout out to the project that you're volunteering with as well, to maybe pique the interest of some of our new master naturalists. That would be great to hear that as well. Our culminating event for 2022 was our annual meeting. Each year we host a gathering, as Michelle mentioned, that has varied from fully in person to fully virtual, and then to different segments of hybridness over the last couple of years. And our 2022 annual meeting held in Houston towards the end of October was part of that hybridness event. We had 458 registrants, 83 of which were virtual. We brought in 126 speakers from across the state and across the country, with 114 sessions that included 21 field sessions exploring all of the unique wonders of the Houston area, which really does have some really incredible pockets of nature and high diversity in their ecosystems in that area. As a follow-up, a recap to our 2022 event, those recordings, if you were a registrant, will be shut off on January 22nd. They have a 90-day post-event life, and so if you are still thinking of watching some of those recordings of those sessions, you have until January 22nd to do that. That website is accessible to both your in-person and your virtual registrants, but only if you registered for the event during the event time. As a recap to the events that we held throughout the weekend, we host our annual meetings from Thursdays through Sundays typically, with our event kicking off with a President and Advisors Luncheon. We had field sessions on Thursday all day. We had field sessions on Friday along with technical sessions all day. That's those in-class presentations from those 126 speakers, and those vary from single-hour to multi-hour events. We had a fantastic meal on Friday night with our keynote Mission to Planet Texas and our guest speaker star, Kjell Lindgren, when he joined us on stage to talk about his experience in space that he had just previously returned from. Saturday, we capped off our event with our award ceremony dinner, our science fair luncheon, field sessions, technical sessions throughout the whole day. A very busy day on Saturday. And then closed out the event with our Sunday breakfast, where we announced our 2023 Recertification Pin. And that's always fun to see the excitement about that. So with our 2022 annual meeting recapped, we had a fantastic event, and we are already rolling into planning for our 2023 programs, and our 2023 event for that, and I'll cover that in just a second. Before we get off of 2022, we do want to recognize our awards that were honored throughout the year of 2022, some of which get honored during the annual meeting and some of which get honored previous to the annual meeting. So these are the awards from our 2022 event. We had our Chapter Advisor Award was announced at our annual meeting. Kara Matheny of the Gideon Lincecum chapter was awarded. We had 3 chapters awarded with our Exemplary Project Awards, and their recordings of their presentations are still available. So if you're interested in knowing more about these 3 stellar projects that these chapters hosted throughout the last year and then were awarded and recognized for, you can find those recordings on our website, on our YouTube channel, and get to know a lot more about what these chapters did to earn this type of recognition. And then keep this recognition level in mind as you're going forward with your Master Naturalist career into 2023, because we will have an Exemplary Project Award again in 23, and we want to recognize you, your service, your work, your project, your passion. And so this is something to hopefully ignite that flame and that pique that interest for you as you are getting into 2023. And then the last couple of awards are things that we found that we heard from our chapters, and we want to share their celebration with them as they were awarded different grants. And so we heard from the Blue Stem chapter that they earned a $10,000 grant from the Simmons First Foundation for using wildlife education trunks to enhance the literacy of place-bound youth. And then our Coastal Prairie chapter earned the $75,000 Niagara Perkier Park contest, a national recognition, in order to invest and work on their Seaboard Creek Nature Park that is there in Rosenberg, Texas. So these are 2 chapter grants that we were made aware of, and if you have chapter grants, chapter projects, award recognition, please share that with us. Michelle and I are your speaker phone to be able to shout from the mountains and share in your successes. So we'd love to be able to share those types of program accomplishments.
So there have been a couple that have been shared in the chat as we've been working today, and special mention to Caroline Hughes with the Cypress Basin chapter, who was named Volunteer of the Year by Region 6 State Parks. So congratulations to Carolyn and the Cypress Basin chapter. And then Lynn Seaman just mentioned that Nathan Elias, who is one of our science fair winners who presented at the annual meeting in October, his project has just advanced in the National Science Fair contest, and he's among the top 300 right now. So congratulations to Nathan, and that is an award that our Master Naturalist program and our volunteers sponsor at the state level. And if you've never seen the projects that these wonderful young individuals do, they're amazing. And the individuals themselves are amazing. We typically have them present at our annual meeting. So congratulations to Nathan, and we hope that your project continues to compete well.
Absolutely. And then I just saw that Pineywood Lakes chapter received a grant of $5,000 for their Gazebo Nature Preserve birding platform project. So that's fantastic. We're so excited to hear from all of y'all about your accomplishments, our impacts across the state. And so please continue to share those with Michelle and I. Drop us an email, send us pictures, and tag the Master Naturalist program on social media so that we can share that and celebrate with you. All right, Michelle, you want to bring us into the new year?
Looking forward in the 2023 new year. Go to the next slide. So we have so much to be thankful for in the new year, and then so much to look forward to in the new year. Our Texas Master Naturalist program, our state program, is celebrating its 25th anniversary in 2023. So there are some surprises and some things that we've are planning and have been planning for our 25th anniversary in the coming year that we'll be telling you a little bit about today, and then more so over the course of the year. There are several. This year is a big year for several chapters and anniversaries. I think this year is probably the top #1 year of anniversaries for all chapters across the state. So I'll be sharing a list of those here in a second. We have spring trainings that are starting up across the state even this early now. And TMN Tuesdays in 2023, that's our kickoff event here today. We're planning our virtual volunteer fair coming up in May, our annual meeting in 2023 with lots of new and exciting places and things going on with the annual meeting in 2023, which we'll share with you. We plan on investing, continuing that project of reinvesting in our program branding and logos, and then continuing our efforts with the TMN Endowment program. All this as an overview. One of the things we're kicking off our 20th anniversary year is our program storytelling project, and this is a project of Annabelle's that she has been leading and kicking off this year as a celebration of our 25th anniversary. And I mentioned that this is a storytelling project to tell your stories as master naturalist volunteers and chapters in the conservation work that you're doing all across the state. We want to hear from you, and we want to be able to share with other potential master naturalists that don't yet know us and know what the program is about. What made you become a master naturalist volunteer? What's your favorite projects, or what are your favorite events about the master naturalist program that you're interested in? What has been meaningful to you for the program? We want to be able to share your stories as program participants, not just our 25th anniversary year, but every year coming up and thereafter. So Mary Pearl's dropped links to our 25th anniversary project in the chat, and you can learn more about the project there. We've already received a couple of submissions of videos from chapters who have been working on it since we mentioned the 25th anniversary project in, I guess at the annual meeting is when we really launched it and told everybody that it was coming.
And you'll also, hopefully, we'll have more, you'll see it again in your email from the TMN listserv. You'll see it on our social media channels. You'll see it from your chapter presidents and hopefully in your chapter newsletters. This is a big deal for us to be able to celebrate, again, your stories, the program, for the last 25 years. So please help us and participate in the storytelling project. And then Michelle, you want to kick off this long list of 2023 chapters? And so if I get this right, this 25 years, these chapters were just starting as you started your adventure with the Master Naturalist program. Is that right?
Yep. So they hadn't been too far into their development. So 25th, I'll start from the bottom. The 25th other chapter celebrating their 25th anniversary this year is the Capital Area chapter, the Hays County chapter, and the North Texas chapter. Moving up to our 20th anniversary chapters celebrating 20 years, Big Country, Heart of Texas, Highland Lakes, and the Panhandle chapter. And then the 15th anniversary chapters are Cypress Basin and El Camino Real. Those of you, so we've just had, we had a few chapters celebrate just in November or November and December for anniversaries and milestones that they had last year. For all of these chapters on this list, what are your plans for celebrating your anniversaries this year? Go ahead and, if you know those, go ahead and drop them in the chat.
Great. It's good to hear from some of the new members that are recognizing the anniversary year that they're joining their program in, so that they become a master naturalist during their first year, during the 25th anniversary of their chapters. That's great. All right. And so speaking of new master naturalists, we have 15 chapters that have let us know that they have spring training classes. And I'd imagine that there's probably a few more chapters that are hosting spring training classes, getting their roster together, getting their schedule together. And so I'll drop the link in the chat for where y'all can let us know that there are spring training classes happening. But with these 15 chapters, you can see the spread across the state of where our chapters are and our new members are going to be coming from over the next year. And then we've got fall training classes that'll kick off in August or so. So a shout out to those chapters that are currently starting their new training class, kicking it off here shortly, or getting ready and prepared to do so with their upcoming training class.
And if your chapter is a chapter having a spring training that's not represented or indicated on this slide, please let us know that too.
Here's the link.
Either drop it in the chat or fill out the form on our website.
Now let me copy that link, and here's the link that you see on the website for that. All right. Even if, and on the spring training class, so we want to hear from you if you're having a training class, even if your training class is already full, already started, if registration is closed. It helps us as a program be able to promote that we have this many chapters starting training, we have this many new members joining the program, and we can help to, again, be that megaphone, that speakerphone for your chapters and your accomplishments and your hard work. Looking further into 2023, this is our TMN Tuesday series for the 2023 calendar year, with today being January 10th and our first of our series for this year. We do have the dates on our website, and I'll drop the TMN Tuesday link in the chat so that y'all can grab that as well. But for the remainder of the year, they will remain on the second Tuesday of the month at 12 o'clock Central, except for one special case, October. We are moving that one up by a week. So the October 3rd TMN Tuesday is the only one that's out of schedule this year, and that's so that we can host our project fair presentations that month and have enough time to complete judging before our annual meeting, because that following week is our annual meeting week. So if there are topics that you want to suggest for TMN Tuesdays for this year or upcoming events, please pop those in the chat as well. Michelle and I take those suggestions seriously, and we try to cover a variety of different topics with our webinar events. So again, I'm going to leave this on the screen just one more minute so y'all can take a picture, but it's also on our website if you need to.
And just real quick, since we just covered collecting information about spring trainings, there I saw a question about that fall trainings pop by in the chat. And yes, so we collect information from our chapters for spring trainings and fall trainings. So if you already know your fall training information, and you want to go ahead and put the dates in there in that form that was on the website, we'll begin collecting that stuff now too.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. Some more events and dates to put on your calendar. Looking forward into 2023 in the spring. We have our virtual volunteer fair event scheduled for May 2nd and May 3rd, 2023. We don't have this on the website yet. We are working on cleaning up a few more things to be able to get this on the website, but we wanted to make sure that we were able to tell you the dates now so that you can put it on your calendars. We'll launch the call for proposals in February, mid-February. We'll launch hopefully the agenda by mid to late March, so that it'd be late March, early April, so that then y'all can join us in early May for our virtual volunteer fair. Again, when we get ready for these virtual volunteer fairs, our first request is to ask you as chapters and as Master Naturalists to help share the event, the email, the call for proposals with your partner organizations, non-partner organizations, friends that might have virtual and distance-based opportunities for other Master Naturalists to get involved. And then the second request that we'll have is that you save that date and you share the projects with your fellow Master Naturalists, fellow volunteers. So there will be a lot more about the virtual volunteer fair later in the spring. But again, wanted to put this date on your calendar now so that y'all can begin planning.
Just a couple of other notes about the virtual volunteer fair. As you begin to think about who you can share the request for proposals with, keep in mind that these are not for place-based. These are typically not for place-based volunteering. Those should be sought out locally by your chapter. These projects should be projects that can be completed by any volunteer virtually, or kind of at home, without having to go to the field. It might be something like helping to do some research on literature, or
We could use Brit's virtual herbarium as an example. They presented a couple of times at our virtual volunteer fair with their virtual herbarium database that needed volunteers to help produce content and invest into that research.
And typically these are projects that anyone from any trained master naturalist from anywhere in the state can contribute to. It's not so specific to a specific ecoregion. But like we like this event to collect those projects that can have a broader range of master naturalists contributing to them in a virtual setting.
Perfect. All right, and then just a few more dates that we want to make sure that you have on your calendar if you don't already. Our Texas Master Naturalist annual meeting, our 24th annual meeting, will be October 12th through the 15th at the McAllen Convention Center down in the Rio Grande Valley. To say that Michelle and I are excited about this is the understatement of the century. Michelle and I are across the moon enthusiastic about this, because we will literally be watching the moon in the annular solar eclipse during the annual meeting this year, with events throughout this really unique and diverse ecoregion that we have never taken the annual meeting to before. And so we are more than thrilled to bring the annual meeting down to McAllen, and really want you to come and celebrate with us. It is only the 24th annual meeting, but we will be celebrating the program's 25th anniversary with a big old party of some sort. Details have not been put in stone for that one yet, but with some sort of celebration event at our annual meeting. If you are a new Master Naturalist, this is a fantastic way for you to meet your fellow statewide Master Naturalists, get to know the different types of the different types of members and chapters across the state, watch the projects learn about the projects that they are engaging in, learn from expert speakers from across the state and across the country. It is an event not to be missed. It's a place to geek out with your fellow nature nerds, and one of my favorite weekends of the entire year. So, needs to be on your calendar.
Yeah, and just so there was a question about the annual meeting about the costs, and obviously we don't know that yet. It's really early in our planning process. And so we are doing a site visit later on, and we'll know more of that as the spring moves along. So.
And with it being a slightly further distance event than normal, we are moving our planning timeline up just a little bit, so we will try to have more information to you sooner than typical. But as for a new Master Naturalist or those that have not been to the annual meeting before, our registration always opens August 1st. So we'll have registration August 1st with pricing, agendas, and so on, well in advance of that registration open date. So that's the planning kind of rough timeline.
We try our best to keep the pricing from year to year as even as possible. So if you want to go back and look at past annual meetings prices and registration options, that can give you a feel and flavor for what might be available this year.
That's on our website. Yep. And it's not a fundraising event. It's a cost break-even event for us. All right, Michelle, you want to tell us about some of the resources? Oh, I think I'm covering this, actually. I'm sorry. I'm covering this. And then you're getting into some of the other things. So our goal with this section of our presentation today is to just cover the basis of some of the resources that we've worked really hard to provide you through our website, through our emails, through different links that we have. And so we just wanted to kind of run through these resources to make sure that you are aware of where you can find all the information, and questions before you even ask those questions, or answers before you even ask those questions. I'll get there at some point today, Michelle. The first place that you should stop on any of your quest for for Master Naturalist Knowledge is our state website. We've dropped the link for our state website in the chat a few times, and Michelle's going to drop it again. But this is the place where you can find our Naturalist news. You can find previous annual meetings information, our TMN Tuesday recordings, chapter guiding documents, merchandise links, about us, our spring trainings. The list goes on. So our state website is a very important resource for any Master Naturalist from any of our chapters. The next link on our chapter website is our events calendar. That does not have all of our 23 dates on it yet, but we'll hear shortly. But that's where Michelle and I put our TMN Tuesday events, our virtual volunteer fair, the annual meeting. But you can also, we will also share other webinars and partner events through our events calendar website as well. So it's a way for us to share resources and events and webinars that are upcoming. And then last but not least,
just a note on those, on the things that we share and the things that are on our calendar, those still need to be pre-approved, reviewed and pre-approved at your local chapter level. So just because they're not, just because some of these things are on our website or that we share them with you does not automatically approve them. So they still need to be reviewed and approved at your local chapter level.
Yep, and it says that on the website as well. And then last but not least is our TMN State email listserv. So this is the way that Michelle and I can e-blast and share resources and links to all of our chapter members, all of our volunteers, but you do have to sign up for that listserv. So Michelle, if you could drop that link into the chat as well, that way we can get folks signed up to that email listserv. It's where Michelle and I will share celebrations about chapters, we will share events, we will share news about upcoming TMN Tuesdays, registration links, and so on. So again, just more resources for y'all to use as you continue with your Master Naturalist career. All right, and then Michelle, you want to talk about pins also on the website, and I'll drop the pins link in the website in the.
Yeah, if you could, I didn't copy the listserv links there yet. So if you could do that while I talk about pins also.
Got it.
So the Master Naturalist pins, in 2002, we started offering annual recertification pins for our membership. So once a Master Naturalist has certified for the first time, and if they are in whatever year we are in, we offer a new recertification pin that's only available in that year. So this year is our Texas Ecoregions pin, which you can see there at the bottom right. But we started in 2002, and these pins reflected and shown here are all of the pins, all of the recertification pins, the whole suite of recertification pins that we've had over the past 11 years now. Pins, these pins, recertification pins and milestone pins, can be ordered by your chapter monthly. We send out a shipment. We have staff that assist with preparing orders. We send out a shipment at the end of the month. So what's collected, all the orders are collected for 1 month and then sent out at the end of the month. The recertification pins will not be available for ordering, they will not be available for shipping until mid-February. You can order them now for members who have already reached that milestone, but please don't pre-order for people you think will reach the milestone throughout the year. The one thing we don't want to have happen is people over ordering, chapters over ordering, and then we don't have any pins left. So order what you need for the people who have reached the milestones and the recertification levels for the year, verified by VMS. And like I mentioned, those items will be collected and or sent out monthly at our state level.
And we've had 21 years of pins, Michelle, not 11.
Sorry.
We've had a lot of pins.
Yeah, I can't do higher math today. That thinking on my feet wasn't going well. So a little bit about meeting our recertification pin for this year. We each year at the annual meeting we debut making a surprise announcement for the following year's recertification pin. So in October we debuted and announced our 2023 recertification pin in our 25th anniversary year, that being our beloved Texas ecoregions. And to give you a little bit of an overview of our Texas ecoregions and why this pin was selected for this year, obviously it represents our whole state. It's meaningful to all of our master naturalists from across the state. Any master naturalist can identify with their local ecoregion. Each of our ecoregions are distinct, and they're made up of everything that a master naturalist cares about and stewards. So our natural resources, our geology, substrate, soil, climate, and communities of their ecoregions. All of our master naturalists love all these things about their specific ecoregion. As naturalists, we're fortunate to have the natural diversity with all of this natural diversity within the boundaries of our state. And some notes from Ian Townsend here, one of our members from the Alamo area chapter. He mentions that Lady Bird Johnson often talked about the distinct language of place. And if there's no other item I can think about talking about a language of place other than our ecoregions. We use them to define and learn about the particular items of nature and the landscape in which we live, steward, and love and serve. So this year's pin represents the ecoregions mentioned there on the screen. So it's exciting and colorful this year.
It is. So as we're working through our 2023 plans, that's the kind of topics that we've covered in this last part of the TMN Tuesday event today. One of the areas that Michelle mentioned in our 2022 plan, so last year's plans, was to work on program branding and our use of our program logo and our templates and our brand. And that's something that we want to continue from 2022 in 2023. And so this is back on the plate to be worked on more in 2023. So you've heard us talk about this before, but if not, and if this is new, this is something that's vitally important to the program for Michelle and I, is to make sure that the Texas Master Naturalist name, brand, logo, presence is recognized, is kept in high regards, and is useful for you as a Master Naturalist volunteer, as a chapter, so that we can one, promote our program as the master level program that it is, and recognize the service and the work that you've done to be able to obtain that Master Naturalist title, but also to be able to communicate and share messages about the work that our volunteers and the work of our program. So just some more things that Michelle and I both have on our list to do as your statewide coordinators is to work on federal trademark for our program logos and our templates, to work on our JMN trademark. We also want to reinvest into our merchandise store. So we do have a store with our Master Naturalist gear, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But that has varied widely in the last 3 years with COVID. So we are researching a better format for a store, for our merchandising, a way for you to be able to put that Master Naturalist logo on merchandise like the shirt that Michelle's wearing today. We also want to make sure that our state and our chapter websites are up to date, secure, easy to read, formatted well. And so we're reinvesting in the training structure that AgriLife Extension has provided in the past, especially as they've had staff changes over the last couple of years. So we'll reinvest in those training opportunities. And then Michelle has had a photo collection project going with her team for the last year, and she's working to continue that project with that diversity inclusion photo safari team that she has in place. Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so over last year at this time, we had requested chapters and chapter leaders to share a project with photographers, especially skilled photographers within their chapters, to help us gather photos of diverse places, diverse public places, spaces in urban areas, and then also the diversity of our people and people using these places, and the diversity of our wildlife in these areas. And so this project has been being contributed to over the past year by kind of professional photographers or special interest photographers within the program. And now we'd like to open up this photo collection project to more master naturalists who may have an interest in contributing to it. So we're collecting, one of the things we realize is that our agencies, we don't have photos, kind of stock photos showing this and diversity of our people and diversity of our spaces in urban areas. And we need your help in gaining more of that. So we're enlisting master naturalists to help contribute to that and for our program and for our agencies. And in return, we would credit your photos for being used and when they are used.
Perfect. So some more about our gear. I mentioned this just a second ago on that previous slide. Our polos, hats, jackets, and more. Again, this is the AgriLife Learn store that currently hosts our Master Naturalist merchandise, and it has had a variety of different changes over the last couple of years. So I appreciate your patience with that. I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat. But we are restocking this with new merchandise in February of this year. We are investing into new ways that we can share our Master Naturalist gear and merchandise with you in hopefully an easier fashion. So this is where you can find that material. And if you've got suggestions for new merchandise, like just popped in the chat, please let us know. I did not get a degree in merchandise, and so having suggestions from you so that we can provide you with the resources that you need is very helpful. Speaking of shiny new things, our shiny license plate, which debuted in 2021, it has been circulating for over a year now. And Michelle, you want to talk about how somebody can order a license plate, the process that we've gone through to get to this point, and where we are almost at with our license plate.
Yeah. So a little bit of history on the Master Naturalist license plate. This license plate is several years in the making, maybe dozens of years in the making. But we have finally come to the plate that you see on the screen now. It was the artwork is developed by one of our master naturalists in the Hill Country chapter, and you can order a plate. Oh, the other thing about the plate is that it is a complete master naturalist effort. We had members from all across the state contribute to a deposit. So in order to get a plate sponsored by a state program, you have to come up with like a $8,000 deposit and startup funds for it to get started. And so Allison Campani was one of our Master Naturalist volunteers who kind of spearheaded this effort to fundraise for the deposit. And that was successful. We got the deposit funded, the plate has, and then selected artwork and completed the artwork for it. And then now the plate is it's available. It became available in June of 2021. So we, last year, June 2022, we celebrated a year. October of this year was the first year we were able to run around the annual meeting parking lot and see, what did we count, about 50 different plates, Master Naturalist plates, that were in the parking lot at the annual meeting this year. We have sold almost 750 plates. And once we get to the 800 plates, we can gain our deposit back. So, and that money can be reinvested into the program. And so we need your help. If your registration is coming due to be renewed this year, please consider a Master Naturalist license plate. So if you can go back to the previous slide with the details. The plates are, if you want a non-personalized plate, it's $30. If you wanted a personalized plate for something that says like Sam Bio or one of the others that you saw, personalized plates that you saw in the previous slide, that's $70. But $22 of each plate goes directly back to the Master Naturalist program. So currently, we have not reinvested the funds that have come back to the program yet. So we're holding those and holding them until we can get the full deposit back also. And then further plan about how we will reinvest that, those funds into the program to support the program statewide.
Yes, and registering your Master Naturalist plate is an annual reinvest. You have to re-register for your plate every year, not on the same website, but with your registration sticker that comes in the mail. I learned that the hard way, and I almost lost my plate, my Master Naturalist plate, because I was a few weeks late, but I got it. So don't do what I did.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So it's $30 every year, and then you'll know this because you're so you got a personalized plate. Is it $70?
It's $70 every year. Yeah. And if you are late on that $70, like I was, I could have lost my personalization if somebody wanted that tag that I had in the interim between me being late. So stay on top of it. All right. So while we're getting close to wrapping up our hour for our TMN Tuesday event, Michelle and I wanted to make sure that we put that kitchen sink of resource links in front of you as well. So you can see we've got some more kind of links that we wanted to remind you about, resources that we have on our website, resources that you can find through our YouTube channel, through our VMS team. So we have our Be the Change recordings on our YouTube channel. We have our VMS help desk that is a very short and simple URL, txmn.org/help. And so you can get to your volunteer management system help desk. Our marketing and brand ID link is there as well. That's found under our chapter resources drop down on our website. Our chapter documents page is also under that chapter resources drop down on our website. And that's where you can find all of our governing documents for the program, CMOP, bylaws, and so on. So, as we wrap up and we think through the plans that we've put in place for 2023, Michelle and I are also looking beyond 2023 and wanting to think long term about the program, especially as we're in an anniversary year. One of the programs that we have had as our long term planning for the Master Naturalist program for the last couple of years has been our Texas Master Naturalist Endowment. This was an endowment fund that was started in 2016. It is a fund that is held with the Texas A&M Foundation that allows us to build a perpetual funding mechanism for the Master Naturalist program, so that there are opportunities in the future for the Master Naturalist program to expand, reinvest into the programs in new and exciting ways. Our endowment right now is currently in its building stage, so it is a snowball moving down the hill, and we are continuously asking for investment in that endowment to continue to build that snowball with us. Our account sits currently at about $100,000, but there are plenty of opportunities for our Master Naturalists to be able to give to the endowment through individual or chapter gifts, employer gift matching. There's also opportunities for employer volunteer hour gift matching, and estate planning. Our website there, masternaturalistendowment.org, I'll drop in the chat here in just a second, but that's how you can find information on the endowment, the Give Now page, or I think it's called Donate Now page on that website. And just a big thank you to everybody who has given and helped to support this Master Naturalist Endowment over the last couple of years, because it is a way for us to, again, build that perpetual funding for the Master Naturalist program. And then, Michelle, you want to talk about the next steps after that?
Yeah. So one of the questions that we often get is kind of not only what's coming up this year and maybe the next 5 years, but what's coming up the next 5 years and then 25 years and beyond. So we have a big vision to have a fully funded Texas Master Naturalist Endowment as one of the items that can help with our program being more supported and supportive statewide, and contributing to our chapters and program statewide more and more fully. One of the things that we'd like to be able to do with the endowment eventually, or RAWA, if it's able to start up again, is hire regional coordinators for the Master Naturalist program, taking so the program, when I first started, there were about 400 volunteers with the program. Today we have about 17,000 volunteers in our VMS system with the Master Naturalist program, and those volunteers are in various stages of either training, interested, or they've been Master Naturalist members for several years. But we've only increased our staff from a ratio of 1 to 400. Now we have 2 to 17,000, or 2 1/4 to 17,000 as a ratio of staff. So that's just unmanageable. It's not manageable. We need help, and our program needs additional funding to be able to grow that staff ratio and support at state level. It's also the reason we don't have an official junior Master Naturalist program. That takes different staff, different funding. So more funding and obviously different funding streams can assist with a junior Master Naturalist program in the years to come. And then also, all of these things can contribute to increased diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility. And continued diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility efforts are something that our program strives to work on, not just now. Like, we are always working on these items, but it's still going to be important in the next 5 years and 25 years moving forward. So the continued increasing diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility are always things that we will need to be working on. And all of it takes help and funding.
Yes, and more manpower. So you mentioned the JMN program, or Junior Master Naturalist program, briefly, and there's been a few more questions. We don't currently have a statewide Junior Master Naturalist program because of that inequity in funding that we currently have for the program. And we're just not able to invest the time in the program staffing that we do have, the two of us that you see, in developing a brand new program for the state. So there's been some requests for information, and we don't have that at this time. But that's why we need your help to be able to continue to build the Master Naturalist program, the name, the recognition, that endowment, so that we can reinvest into those unique projects and portfolios that are projects and people that we want within the program. All right, and Michelle, we have gone over just a little bit, but I think the thing that I've taken out of today is just how much we have going on with the program. Our chapters are doing incredible work. There are volunteers giving hundreds of hours every year. And the reason why you and I get up and join this program every day is because of the power of the program, the power of the people, the volunteers, and the impacts that they're putting on the ground. And so if we don't say it often enough, thank you, Master Naturalist. Thank you for volunteering with us. Thank you for learning with us. Thank you for joining us. And just thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being with us over the past year. If you're new and joining us this year, congratulations and thank you for being here. We look forward to you being invested as a volunteer and working with us in this program in the next year and in the next 25 years and several years to come after that. I know there's a lot of questions we were not able in the chat that we were not able to answer today, and we'll try to get information to you on those questions either through subsequent webinar series or some of the resources available on our website.
Absolutely. And the recording of today's event will be posted on the website within the next couple of hours. So thank y'all so much for joining today's TMN Tuesday event. We're excited to kick off this series for 2023, and we will see you next month.